How's it going, everybody? I am back at the SJGames office for another paint stream. Today, I have brought with me the Scorpion Handler that was part of the Foes Kickstarter we did a little while back. And of course, the Scorpion Handler is also going to need a bunch of scorpions. So I have 3 scorpions. If you're going to switch to the... Yeah, Hunter is gesturing at the...
Show us the scorpions.
Show the scorpions, man.
Can't just talk about scorpions and not mention scorpions. So we've also got Hunter in the studio, as well as Jimmy and Brandon, to hang out and talk painting, miniatures, fantasy trip, whatever you guys want today. So for these scorpions, we actually have some Turbo Dork paint. If any of you guys were at FNordCon, hopefully you got a chance to meet the Turbo Dork people and check out some of their cool stuff in the paint room. Insects are one of these great things that you can use this cool metallic paint for that you might not think about immediately. So that's what I'm going to be trying to do with these scorpions. Now, all metallic paint kind of needs an undercoat. The Turbo Dork guys usually recommend black, but I think you can also get pretty good results with a similar color to the metallic color you're painting. Now, hopefully I can get a thin enough coat going on these guys that will actually dry so you can see the Turbo Dork paint applied before the stream ends.
And if not, we'll take pictures for the Instagram just in case, which we'll do anyway. So.
Well, yeah. Unfortunately, I've actually meant to airbrush a little bit on these guys, but I am terrible at time management. And before I knew it, it was like 12:45, and I hadn't eaten lunch, and I had to get things in gear, and I didn't get a chance to do that. So here's one I don't even know why I bought this. We've got a nice, it's called Marine Teal from Reaper. I must have needed this for something, but I think this might be a good base for the Absinthe, which is like a nice jade green that I'm going to want to do on one of these guys. So let's get that started. And then once I have a base coat on these guys, I'm going to move on to the Scorpion Handler. If you are not familiar with the Fantasy Trip, in the Fantasy Trip there are orcs as well as most of your other usual humanoid fantasy races, plus some that only appear in the Fantasy Trip. But orcs in the Fantasy Trip are all descended from Neanderthals. So they are not green or weird colors like you might find in other settings. They're going to run the full gamut of, human coloration. So they could be dark skin, they could be pale, but they're not going to be anything weird or crazy like I'm doing these scorpions right now. So most of that's going to be done on this orc with some flesh tones, and I don't think I'm going to go with any non-metallic metals on the weapons because I don't have all the time in the world today. So probably be doing some more traditional metallics with that.
Oh, and you mentioned the Kickstarter. These are also available now.
Yes.
We'll link them in the comments below. These are actually 3D printable STLs. So if you have a 3D printer, or if you have like a service, you use a service through My Mini Factory, something like that. You can get these printed for you. Very affordable miniatures, really cool miniatures too.
You got a blue one.
Yeah, there's a free
If
stamp.
you want to check it out, the Crab Man, the Crab Person. Sorry.
No, the Octopus is the free one. The Crab Man was specifically for FNordCon, actually. There are some Crabmen in the set, but that particular Crabman was a FNordCon special.
Let's try a dark red. I've got this dark red out that I'm gonna be using for some of the flesh tone. This is now P3's Sanguine base. Sanguine, I guess is really.
Have we confirmed if P3, if that news about P3?
I have definitely not been able to find any information that says that Privateer Press is not going to be making P3 anymore.
Okay.
I didn't actually email them, but I went through their news feed. I checked their Facebook page, so I don't know how that rumor got started, but
yeah, I'm curious.
Yeah, there was a rumor going around. Like, did you start it or did someone else start it?
Well, yeah, I started it.
Well, not like started it.
No.
It was you. Somebody.
No, we were just talking.
Oh yeah.
We were
I heard
talking
they're gonna
about
get rid of. They're they're not going to do the P3 line anymore. And then somebody else was like, yep, that's what I heard too. And then
It
suddenly
was
like,
actually
oh my
me with
gosh.
3 different voices. Yep,
Uh,
that's what I heard. Oh yeah, P3's going out of
I was really
business.
just checking to see
I'm
how well
done.
it's going, how the is going.
And I'm definitely not Hunter. It's definitely a different person.
Yeah, that was more me
Wholly
checking in.
different opinion.
Hey Ben, has that made it to the internet?
You can tell when he's doing it because he's doing the like puppet thing with his hand, but there's no puppet on it.
But Ben fell for it. I don't know.
I did.
He was
I
just
fell
like,
for it. Hunter
"Who's
is
that
an
guy?"
extremely talented ventriloquist type person. So just be really careful. If you know he's not, he's kind of devious, and he might use these skills for
He's
evil.
devious.
So if you find yourself alone in a room with Hunter and you hear a bunch of like disembodied voices, and he tries to tell you it's a ghost, it's just him trying to trick you. Because this is the sort of nefarious purpose that Hunter will use his superpowers for.
Yeah, to talk about a paint line that I don't use. It's true.
Well, you tried to. It almost broke my heart. Okay, it's more
I
than
mean,
just a paint line. To
I'm
me.
curious.
It's like,
I might email them because I'm actually curious.
but who? Where did it start though?
It was someone who knows that kind of stuff at FnorCon.
Oh yeah, somebody with like some. It was
It was someone in the know. Let's just say someone in the know.
It was a store manager
Yeah.
who said that they'd gotten that as an email. So maybe they should. Maybe it's something that they're not ready to announce yet that they should not have shared.
Possible. It's
But
possible.
anyway, I love P3 paint, but
And you have enough to last for the rest of your life. It looks
I
like.
do not, man. You don't know how much I paint. You don't know how much I paint.
I do know how much you paint.
Plus,
actually.
unfortunately, the seal is imperfect as it is with most paints, and eventually, if you just leave it sitting there, it'll dry out after a while.
Yeah, they went with the pot route, which was kind of like the.
Yeah, I'm really starting after all these years, and maybe it was just this rumor that had me thinking about it. I'm really thinking about finally switching to dropper bottles, because I just all the like extremely awesome painters that I follow on Instagram who can do stuff much better than me. They all use wet palettes, and it seems to speed up their work.
We're gonna miss
Like to be
Ben's
able to
hand palette.
quickly, yeah, to be able to quickly like create midtones and stuff in between what you're working on without having to blend it on the surface. It seems pretty helpful. So I don't know. I'll have to see. But P3 is difficult to find is the biggest thing. I almost always have to put in an online order, and when I do, there's just like never a store where 3 or 4 of the colors are not sold out. So
That's
then you're looking at multiple online orders. So we have a lot of places in town that have a huge selection of paint, but unfortunately no P3.
That's rough.
All right, so speaking of P3, they have this nice color called bootstrap leather, which looks like kind of a tanned, dirty flesh, which I think is going to be good for these orcs. Another one they have, Edrian flesh. It's named after one of the humanoid races in P3, in the Iron Kingdom, the Edrians. So it's more of a darker tone. That's another good one. But I'm going to start with this bootstrap leather and give her, because the Scorpion Handler is a her. Start base coating all that skin area with this. And again, there's no wrong way to do these orcs. They can have just this as much range of skin tone as a human. You can start with like a dark brown, or if you want them to be, from some pale or from some cold climate, maybe you can give them pale skin. Start with like a pale pink. It's totally up to you. And you know what? If you want to paint them green, that's also fine. We're not going to stop you. But it happens to be incorrect for the setting. Goblins are green in TFT, the fantasy trip, and I'm not sure how that works.
Goblins and orcs aren't the same thing. So
I know, but I'm just like, because I think all the humans are descended, all the races are descended from humans, so I'm not sure how goblins ended up green. But TFT, the fantasy trip, is largely set, for anybody that doesn't know, is set in the universe of Sidri, which is, it's like basically a single planet that, as far as anyone knows, goes on forever, kind of in defiance of the laws of physics, because it was made by a highly advanced elder race who may or may not still be around. So everything in that world was taken from Earth with a few exceptions, and then just sort of left alone in whatever weird corner of Sidri to adapt and evolve into that new environment. So there are some weirdos that just like no one can account for, like the Mauler. That's just like it has absolutely no parallel to
Long
anything on
Lincoln.
Earth. Yeah, the long Lincoln. I mean,
Yeah.
theoretically, that could be like a baboon that just like really devolved somehow or evolved or something.
Something.
But yeah, the Lankin is one that doesn't really have a parallel, but it is bipedal. I mean, it still looks. It has like some resemblance to an earthly creature. The Mauler, if you don't know, it's just like a stump with 3 stumps for arms and 3 more stumps for legs, and then a giant eye. And it does. It's not even like bilaterally symmetrical like most Earth life forms. It's like a starfish, so it's radially symmetrical, and it has its 3 limbs like stick out on the sides.
Weird.
Yeah, it's a weird critter.
Yeah, we have a lot of weird stuff, but these are fairly normal, I'd say.
Yeah,
Scorpions and an orc.
it'd be interesting to get some Maulers as miniatures down the line. Maybe that will happen
Yeah,
someday.
hopefully if this does well enough. I mean, like I said, this is something we wanted to offer miniatures for TFT, but it wasn't, feasible to do plastic and stuff. And this is
Right.
our first run of 3D miniatures, but we definitely got more planned in the future, especially if these keep doing well. So keep, if you're interested in minis, it's a good way of getting more TFT minis. Kind of like
Well,
when
I
we
mean,
did
it's
Ogre
just
minis.
overall, it's interesting to see. Just a little paint there, but that's fine. Interesting to see, what 3D printing is going to end up doing with all this because it's just so much faster. There's just so many things you can do with it. It's just almost impossible to do with with the traditional method. It's just so much harder. Like today, I was looking at the Star Wars Legion painting group, and they had one of those giant flying troop transports from the prequels, and I was like, I didn't think they made that, and they don't. It was just 3D printed, and it was like for them to do that as a model kit, it'd probably cost it'd have to retail at like $150 or more,
Hmm.
depending on how many they think they can sell, because it's just so big. But yeah, somebody just 3D printed it, and it's like I kind of bugs me to see stuff like that, sort of, because Atomic Mass has to pay for that license, and it ain't cheap. So
Hmm.
stuff like that cuts into their bottom line, but it's at the same time, it's like this is inevitable. 3D
It's
printing is
it's
there.
it's
It's not going
inevitable
to go
to a
away.
degree. I will say that people jacking sculpts and stuff like that themselves instead of like, yeah, if that person created that sculpt on their own,
Right.
and as long as they're not selling it and things like that,
Well, but I
that's
mean,
the one
like the
thing.
problem though is like if those are out there and like 500 people have already 3D printed and painted them and have them around, then that makes it that much less likely that it'll be affordable for them to actually create an official version
Oh,
of
for
that.
sure, for sure. Not that they're going to. Certain things, I think the reason that stuff like that hasn't come out in that game is the scale, and
Yeah,
that
exactly. It's the scale.
that
It'd just
tends
be
to be what
so
happens
expensive.
with some games. Like the things that are way out of scale end up being the things that people want to print the most.
But my point is just like
Sure.
somebody just did it
Yeah.
because you just can now,
Hmm.
and it's gonna have such an effect on stuff going forward because these things just keep getting cheaper and more people have them. Um,
But
yeah,
yeah, we wanted something in that field. That isn't to say we're never gonna do regular minis again. Like our Ogre miniatures set 4, I believe, is just a standard plastic kit. So that'll be a project at some point. I don't know when that's launching, but we'll probably have that on the stream actually when that does launch. Uh, Ben can paint some more new Ogre stuff, which I'm sure it's been
oh
a
yeah,
while.
yeah. I really prefer I guess it's the Pano infantry, or is it the combat? I don't know. Whatever the side. No, I think it would be the common infantry because the combine has the ogres.
Yeah,
Pan Euro has the doppels and stuff. So is the Pan European infantry and tanks and stuff that we were seeing. So now it's combine
yeah,
infantry and tanks. Anyway, I've always thought those were cooler. And if you want to see them, you don't have to wait. You can see what they look like. Look for the old pictures of the metal ones. But
yeah. The new plastics are going to be very similar in scale. They're
yeah,
just it's just a hair different simply from like the methods of making plastic minis versus making metal minis, but um, it's really close. Also, want to mention unrelated to minis, but kind of related just to general tabletop gaming. And it might be relevant to miniature war gamers. Our dice store is open right now on BackerKit. The BackerKit dice store features a bunch of new dice. A lot of D6 dice is why I mentioned it because I actually use a lot of our dice for tabletop wargaming.
Yeah, me too.
The Armyman dice in particular are one of my favorite sets.
Yep.
But we
I
just
have
launched.
used those.
Yeah, we have a lot of new sets like the Chibi Thulu dice. We finally have those out with designs, the John Kovalic Chibi Thulu on it. New dice bags, stuff like that, and dice that people have been really clamoring for, like the giant Munchkin D10 level counters. Those do come with Munchkin promos as well that are specific to the color. So they're very similar. So if you have like the green and don't get the black one, you're probably not missing out. But like if you're one of those Munchkin promo completists guys, thought I should mention it. That there's promo cards that correspond with the color of the die.
Plus, those are a good D10 damage ranged weapon.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
As a physical item, they are humongous. Brandon just brought one in
Yeah,
earlier
if
today.
you need a D10 to make like a really important roll for whatever game you're rolling D10s in,
If you need a
that one
D10
is
to
suitably epic.
hit your GM with in
No,
the head,
no, we're not going to advocate. Not on my stream. We're not advocating violence. No, sir.
That's not.
No, Ray Liotta wouldn't want us to. Sorry, we meant to say we're dedicating this stream to Ray Liotta.
Yeah, rip in peace. The original.
We don't know what happened to him yet, but it's too bad. The original good fella. If you guys didn't know, sorry to be the one to break the news, but yes, Ray Liotta has passed away.
This handler is now named Ray.
Yeah, but it's like Rey.
There you go.
From Star Wars.
Sure.
Because she is a lady. She got a very Death by Snoo Snoo vibe. For those of you who remember that episode of Futurama, but she is a lady, nonetheless. I don't even know what color I'm looking for. I'm trying to find a good one to. Like, I get so hung up on models like this. I feel like they have to have earth tones, but of course, there's absolutely no rule that says that she can't have like a bright blue skirt.
True.
Or even a bright green skirt. Maybe that's what I'll go with. I got
it's
a
your
green one
choice.
right here. It is my choice.
It's your universe.
So I just grabbed some blue to do her armor. Her skin is going to need some more work, but I want to let it dry from where it is now. So if you've seen me do metals before, just like with the scorpions, what I like to do when I use true metallics is start with a base coat that kind of has a nice tone to it that I think will look good. And for iron and steel, a blue is usually good, kind of a not particularly saturated blue. So here I have a rust gray, which 40k players will know what the rust means in this instance. They will definitely recognize this tone of blue. The P3 version is called Gravedigger Denim, and apparently it's really popular because I always have a hard time finding it. And rust gray, it's pretty much just as good. Certainly good enough for what we're doing here.
Oh, and if y'all have any questions for Ben or anybody, painting wise, hobby wise, things like that, you want tips and tricks other than what he's saying right now, just ask. Even if it's not something we're necessarily covering.
Yeah, I will try to answer.
Ben is a pro, and he will answer correctly. Guaranteed.
Hopefully.
Guaranteed. I guarantee it. Your next mini is going to.
You called me a pro, and then I immediately dropped the model head down.
I mean, to be fair, you've thrown models, so that's technically better than.
We weren't going to bring that up anymore.
No, I didn't. I never promised.
Okay,
that.
I said you weren't going to bring that up.
Pretty sure we saved that clip.
I think that clip is one of our clips. Yeah, I think that's on there.
Wait, what do you mean one of our clips?
One of our.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. That's. We should just run
Like the Benny Hill
a Benny. Yeah, I was gonna say
blooper
like a blooper reel
reel.
from Ben throwing cars and dropping minis.
Yep.
Ben, professional painter.
I'll just have to remember to not claim to be professional anything else. I don't need that kind of mayhem with like my car or computers. All right, and this is a big part of why I like to usually paint minis and batches. In fact, speaking of painting minis and batches, we do have some scorpions over here while paint dries. Oops. So they're not quite dry yet, but you can always go back and just kind of spread the paint around so you get the thickest parts out of the recesses, and that'll usually help it dry a little faster. Obviously, you don't have to do this, but if you're being impatient, if you want to get to it, you can go over it again.
Question: I have 2 of each of the massive D10s. All the included promo decks for the 3 new colors for the same. Interesting. Maybe I misunderstood. It might be that there's a particular card for each color in the deck or something like that.
This one looks like it's about ready.
I may be incorrect on that. Sorry. Thank you for clarifying that. I have not actually looked at the promo deck. I was doing by what that we had said at FnorCon, but I may have just misunderstood what we were saying. I do know that I don't know if the red one is available on there or not, but the red one did not come with the promo deck, and then the other 3 colors did. When I say deck, it's like a pack of cards, like a few cards. It's not like a full deck, but.
All right, so the first Scorpion I started with,
Ooh,
it is dried.
We're on the Turbo Dork stuff.
We're on a Turbo Dork now.
And this is, what color is it again?
This is Absinthe.
Oh, yeah. I've considered using that one.
So I picked it because it's a nice jade.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of reminds me of a scarab.
Yeah, I used Emerald, I think. Emerald Knight or something like that.
Yeah, that would also be a good one. Now, obviously, on Earth, Scorpions don't come in, like, sparkly jade, I think. But, you know, fantasy game, right? You can do whatever you want.
And I'd also like to reiterate what you had said earlier. So, Turbo Dork does have on the bottle directions on how to use their stuff. So, like, usually most of the colors, a few of them they don't, but most of the colors say you should put them over a black surface. But like Ben, I've also found that if you put the color over a similar color, it also works.
Yeah.
And actually can make the color react differently. Like I've used the green over another green. I've used the purple and pinks over different like purples and pinks. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and because, I mean, basically, metal paint, it's like tiny flecks of Mylar, tiny flecks of Mylar, you know, in a suspension. And depending on, you know, which metal it is, it could be that the Mylar is colored, or it could be that the pigment is in the suspension,
Mm-hmm.
and the Mylar is just sort of a basic silver. So anyway, I guess what I'm taking a long time to say is that it's often not going to be very opaque. So having that color underneath can just sort of act as a nice tint to sort of get you there faster,
Mm-hmm.
fewer coats. It won't have quite the same sheen to it as if you had
Just done multiple layers.
Yeah, like a ton of coats, or maybe especially if you use an airbrush to get a really nice even coat.
They do go to get through an airbrush. I've used them through airbrush quite a bit.
All right, I found one now called Malice, which is a little bit greener. So I'm going to try to work that in there just so that it's not quite so uniform throughout. Maybe I don't know if that's the right one. I kind of want something a little darker. And we're really lucky to have this huge collection of this stuff, but that still means we are limited, so I might not be able to find exactly the thing that I want. But I'm going to use this one called Molt. I have no idea
Oh man,
what it is, but it looks dark. So I like to, I don't know why, but with bugs I like to do little dark tips on the claws and the tail, kind of like what I did with the arms on the long Lankin that I painted a few months back.
Mm-hmm. And also, he's been referencing a few different things he's painted. You can check those out in our replays. They're usually saved on our Twitch channel and on YouTube. YouTube at least. I don't know if are they saved on? They're not saved on Twitch. Yeah. Okay, so it'll be on YouTube. But you can find all our old streams where Ben has painted Long Lankin. He's done other TFT minis.
What other TFT?
You did the Crabman, remember?
Oh right,
Before
okay.
FNordCon, and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
you've done a bunch of Car Wars stuff on there.
Mostly, usually I end up doing Car Wars. I think this is only the third time I've done a TFT mini on the stream.
Mm-hmm. And then we'll be doing. I did some terrain, and we'll probably be coming back to Car Wars and more Ogre minis as well at some point. So.
I picked up some Turbo Dorks at FNordCon, so I need to get back to doing my Car Wars minis.
Yep.
Yeah, these are so perfect for Car Wars because they just mimic those shiny auto paints, like the real ones that you see so much. I mean, they even have the color shift ones, which are like, there are color shift car paints out there that look really cool, and those are just like that. All right, so we have, I guess I'll put it back on the turntable. We have our little scorpion with who's gotten a sort of a dry brush
Oh,
of
yeah.
the absinthe, and then he has some molt on his claws. So I'm gonna let him dry, and then I'm gonna give it a wash of something. Haven't decided yet. Um, and let's see. Hopefully this red one's ready to go now. Are you ready to receive some more paint, or are you still a little wet? I can't tell. I think there's like the slightest bit of wet paint on the bottom, but we're gonna just move ahead anyway. So what we've got bubble that looks like a good red. There was a really
Bubblegum's
cool
a
one.
pinkish, a very pink.
Life on Mars. This is the one I was looking for like kind of a crazy.
It's like a coppery red.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's. Oh yeah, that's almost like a copper, but that's fine. We got it out now. I guess I was kind of.
Back in the back corner there is another one.
Red rum.
There we go. That's a good one.
I'm changing tack one more time. We're gonna go with the red rum.
I use that for a car.
Oh, look at that.
Perfecto.
I wish you could. Can you like you can see it shining even on the
Paper.
on the stream? Yeah, you can just see that crazy sparkle. All right, so I'm just getting a little thinner on my hand. Now we're gonna dry brush that on. Another thing that works really good if you have the time and the patience is to do like some zenithal airbrushing under this metal with or you don't even need to do it with an airbrush. You can just do wet blending, but that can just add even more shading. So you can do like a dark red for this metallic red, like a dark red base, and then blast maybe like a fleshy pink on top to sort of add some highlighting before you dry brush on the metal. Oh well, let's see. Need something for its claws too, I would say. So maybe I should just stick with this molt. Digging through the box for a nice dark color. Darknet? Sure. We will try Darknet. Let's give it a little squeeze and see if it looks like it'll work for what I'm doing here. Oh, this is one of the color shifts, but hey, let's do it. Let's use it anyway. What was that one? What's the one? Is it 3D glasses? It's just like the totally insane color shift where it really.
Yeah. 3D glasses
That
does
one's
that.
nuts.
I really like Crystal Caverns. It's like a pink to blue. I think it's Crystal Caverns.
This isn't quite as dark as I want. I'm actually just going to go back to the molt again.
Oh.
Yeah, I think they said that was like the most expensive one to produce.
Which one?
3D glasses.
Oh, really?
Like whatever crazy.
That would make sense. They've been doing some really
However it
crazy
worked,
colors
they,
recently.
Yeah.
There was like Rainbow Roll, which was like multicolor. Like, it was crazy.
Oh, was that the one with like the rainbow glitter?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It looks like a little bit of the color shift, whatever it is, from the Darknet is going through even.
That's awesome.
With the even on top of this almost black molt color.
That's awesome. I actually used the color shift paint on my, I think it was Electrum. It was like a gold to greenish type color.
Yeah, that one's really cool. That one you need a pale color in it, I found.
So I used that on my one of my Catan models, like the Deceiver or something like that for Necrons.
Oh yeah,
and
that'd be cool.
I still did a varnish on top of it, a matte varnish, and it still comes through just fine.
Oh, nice.
I was worried that it would just kill it, and it didn't.
All right, so this is a purple one. So this is easy. This one I actually grabbed.
Oh, I love that
purple people eater.
That's one of their best colors.
Eater. Yeah, this one's really intense.
That's the color I think that they started their company on.
Oh yeah, I think that's right because you said he wanted a
a
metallic
purple
for a World Eater's army.
No,
not
Emperor's
World
Children.
Eater.
Yeah.
Sorry.
He was working.
It was Praetor Legion's wrong.
He was working on an Emperor's Legion's army, and no one made the purple that he wanted, so he made it himself, and it was like just a hobby. He made his own paint for that,
Yeah.
and people liked it so much they started selling it in small batches, and then a distributor wanted it, and that kind of formed the company.
I thought it was crazy that he makes all this stuff himself, and he's like a photographer.
Yes, he was originally, yeah.
We're like secretly doing a documentary about the Turbo Dork guy today.
Yeah, they're awesome.
That
They're
was
cool.
actually
They're
not the
really
plan,
cool
but
people.
yeah. I was really just blown away by how nice they were. They were just the nicest people to absolutely everyone that came
Oh, yeah.
to visit them.
They're super cool.
Um,
There's a reason we invited them to FNordCon.
Yep.
They're really cool people.
but dang it, now I lost train of thought. Oh yeah, just the thought that like you would just be like, oh well, I can't find the shiny paint that I want. I'm just gonna make that and just do that. It's very like that would just never occur to me just because I just wouldn't even know like how do you even start? I mean, I know more about paint probably than most people, but it's just like where do I get the shiny bits from? Like how do you even do that? Where do you order that from? How do you source that? And then
Ben's gonna do this himself.
the
When
that is not the plan, but it's
when
just,
P3 goes out, he's gonna be like, "I
Yeah.
need Gravedigger denim."
no, I think that's just the same company in the UK that makes the there's like a line that's specifically designed to replace old Citadel
I know what
stuff
you're
from
talking
the
about.
90s.
Well, it's not that. It's
I swear it's the same company.
it is the same company. I was saying it's not designed to
'Cause
replace
they
it.
are made in UK.
Yeah, it's the same company that used to make the Citadel paints. I know their name normally, and I'm blanking on it right now because I actually have one of their paints.
Yeah.
It's
I haven't found an online seller for them, but
you get it directly from them in the UK.
Yeah,
It's
that's
actually
what I
not
thought.
that bad.
all right, so we have 3 scorpions now. They all have the same molt black tail.
They go by another.
and
It's
claws.
coat d'arms.
So we've got coat d'arms, Hunter says. So we have red rum for one of them. We've got absinthe for the greenish blue one, and then people eater for the purple one.
But yeah, they do. They were the original. It's. I think Jimmy pulled up the actual companies like HMS Paints or something like that. But they were like the original paint company that made the '90s and '80s and '90s Citadel paints.
Hmm.
And then when they switched to in-house production, or like in-house to a degree, I think they still get a company to make it. But it's like they switched to their own company essentially. Those guys kept going and they just branded as coat d'arms now. That's so a lot of people use it to get like goblin green because it's the only place to get like the original goblin green pretty much.
Yeah, and P3 has a color called worm green that's very similar.
GW has one that's kind of in there that I've
Moot green,
gotten.
but it's not quite. It's more of like
Moot's. I use Moot for.
it's more of like
brighter
a
stuff.
radioactive glow, yeah, than a like goblin green.
No,
just a little bit.
There's
more
another
olive,
one they
just a
make
tiny
now.
bit.
It's it's something. There's another one that's close to it. It's not Moot though. It's
All right.
but it's still not as
Well, I'll
bright.
take your word for it, but I don't know which one you mean off the top of my head.
Yeah, it's I think it's something flesh green. I can't remember what it's called, like goblin flesh green.
Mood is like the one you use for that weird. I think they're called the Aurora Marines. That weird chapter of like bright green space marines.
If you've seen any of my Necron stuff,
Maybe it's the Sons of Medusa. I don't know.
Moot green is what I use for all the glowing effects on the guns, on all my Necron stuff.
Cool.
I use that with a wash over the top of it.
All right, so unfortunately, she did not dry as completely as I would have liked. So we're gonna go for her bright green tabard. She killed an elf and took his tabard. That's why she has this bright green tabard. If anyone wants to know.
That's cool.
So let's start getting the base coat for that. She has this really cool quiver with kind of this ribbed leather effect going on, which is nice. Something you can get that detail really easily with a nice wash or dry brush. But I will have to, which I will try to get to today if everything cooperates. Things are already drying a little more slowly than I would like.
Man, if I
Let's
could control
see.
3 scorpions, I don't know if I'd even have a weapon. I'd just be wandering around 3 scorpions, be like, go get them.
Yeah, I
You
don't
wanna
think
get
I don't
stop
think it's
controlling
like
3 scorpions.
full control. Yeah, I think the weapon is there to like make sure they stay pointed in the right direction.
I see. I thought we were talking like... I guess I would just have full control of the scorpions. I'd focus on that.
Yeah, I think she has she probably has the animal handler talent or something. I don't know quite enough about it to know like how much control that really gives her. Like if she gets to say exactly what they do. But it's not I certainly don't think the intent is that she's like steering them with her mind.
Oh
Like
man,
they're like her little animal pals. You know, it's kind of like a ranger and their pet.
I want to steer them with my mind.
TFT is never quite as forgiving about things like animal control as like other systems. So my guess is that there's a risk they might go nuts. And I think the rules are free out there somewhere. So you can see the description because I think that's just downloadable. It might have only.
Melee rules.
Oh no, I meant there was like a little pamphlet that Steve and Gene, about the minis and foes,
Oh,
like their background and how they act in game. Let's see, we can give her purple hair. Why not? We got some purple out. Let's try that. This is another Reaper color. It's Imperial Purple. I have it in a P3 bottle so that I can just stick my brush in the way I like instead of having to drop it out.
Thomas on Facebook says that the coat to arms paints work better for glazing techniques,
Mm.
and Games Workshop shifted more toward paints that work better with dry brushing techniques.
Yeah, it's just an older style. One of those things. Their colors are really rich too. Like, and also they're still in bottles that dry up real fast. So it's like if you find, it's kind of like if you find old '90s GW paints and stuff like that. Like, it's weird.
Some of them last.
It's very nostalgic.
People love posting their pictures of those to Facebook.
Well, coat to arms paints are actually in a similar container as the P3 paints.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, I think it's almost exactly the same. That's again why I
Yeah.
think that may be the company that makes these. It may be the same company.
Oh,
I
interesting.
don't know.
Yeah, it could be.
Because they're both made in the UK. I mean, that's not enough to like seal it. You know, we haven't solved this case just on.
Listen,
that,
Ben's
but,
cracked the case. Detective Ben is on the scene.
Yeah, the paint detective.
The paint detective.
That could be
Probably the same machine.
be a really
I wouldn't be
boring
surprised.
show.
Yeah, I didn't. I started after the original coat to arms stuff. I was when they were the hex bottles with those. That was probably the worst era of paint bottles ever, with
The-
screw-on tops.
The hex ones with the screw-on tops were terrible. For
They
a
were
little while
so
before that,
bad.
they had a snap top.
Yeah, that was
That
the
was-
coat to arms stuff. The snap top.
No, there was something in between.
Oh, okay.
Believe it or not, it was like the same, like the bottle, like the transparent part, the clear
Mhm.
part. It was the same,
Oh, interesting.
and it had a screw on top, but that top had a flip lid.
See, but I thought that came after. I think it was the same one, but that bottle came after. And then
No, because if I remember correctly, it was those screw-on bottles that were a big reason why I quit using GW paints, because
interesting.
they were just unbearable.
Because I had some of the flip tops with the screw-ons with the hex screws.
Either you needed like a wrench to get the top off,
was
or
bad.
the paint had dried inside. Like,
And
those were your two
usually it was
options.
both.
Yeah, a lot of times it was both.
It was like, man, I can't get inside this paint, and you'd get like a literal wrench
Yeah.
to unscrew it, and then you unscrew it, and it was completely dry, and you're like, well, this was pointless.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you even got like a milligram of paint on those threads, it was over.
Yeah.
And as a child in 1998, I got more than a milligram of paint on the threads frequently.
All right. She is just nobody is drying as quickly today as I would like, and it is.
We need to get you a
totally
hair dryer out
my
here.
style. You know, I could bring that, but that would make for a really boring, like to just like, okay, for the next 15 seconds,
Literally
it's just gonna be hairbrush noises.
Heck
So
yeah.
enjoy, y'all. The moot court, maybe are you volunteering to be my like hairbrush monkey? Like,
Sure.
I give you the models and the hairbrush. You run outside.
No,
But
we
they
do
can't hear
a
it, then you come
please
back
stand
in.
by frame that comes on screen. Dun. Play a little Copacabana. Da, 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 da.
All right. Her skin has dried, so I'm going to try and go back in there. And I've got P3 Rin Flesh, which is a very light, super pale flesh tone. So I'm trying to use that for the highlights and getting some up on the top of her forehead, trying to define some of those muscles, a little extra highlight. Back of her hand, to get something on those fingers, maybe a little bit on the toes, so we can get those out. Oh, let's cover up that green spot I got on the leg. That's no good. More muscle over here. Find that. Wow, so you can really see, like, I don't know if you guys can see, but I can see, she actually has some really well defined, like, eyelids that you can get in there and paint if you're really determined. So lots of detail. Really cool model. And I love the faces on these guys. There's a whole other variety of orc too that has heavier armor. That Steve said were inspired by an old range of Ralparth the Hobgoblins, and they're really cool too. The miniatures market being what it is, you have a lot of variety in your orcs, and I think these are just as cool as any of the other ones that are out there.
We know you have many options in orcs,
Yep.
and we're pleased that you flew with our orcs.
Yep.
They're cool. I think that's what I like most about the TFT minis. It's not when you look at the overall, like it's like, oh, we got orcs and we got this other thing, like of orcs, but there's a lot of difference in ways ours look. Like it's not a traditional style.
I mean, what they feel sort of more like realistic, even though that's not quite right. They feel a little bit more natural.
Yeah,
Like something that could exist.
a
Like
little
lots
less
of orcs are
cartoony.
like, yeah, exactly. Most orcs are just so strongly cartoony, which is fine.
Oh, it's a style.
Like that's cool too.
It's if you want a
But-
different style of orc, this is definitely something to check out. Plus, we got stuff like Octopus Warriors, which you don't see anywhere else, and like Long Lankin, which
Yeah,
that's just weird.
he's that guy.
He's that guy.
He's long. He's Lankin.
He's Long Lankin.
He's not changing. He likes being what he is. All right, let's give her a minute. I'm gonna look at these sparkly scorpions.
Those look
and
cool.
See if they look like they're ready for a wash yet. Because they're sparkly, like you can't just look at them to tell if they're dry.
Generally, the
I'm
Turbo Dork
actually,
stuff I've had dries
literally touching it.
pretty quick when I brush on.
Yep, this one seems ready.
Occasionally, when I
Another?
do airbrushing, it can pool up a little bit, but that's more due to me the way I airbrush.
This seems good too. We got our purple one.
That purple is striking.
Yep. All right, so we've got this guy. So what should I do? Like, I have a bunch of colors of washes, and whichever one you pick, can accentuate the color that's already there, or it can add a little bit to it. So we've kind of got a bluish green, kind of a turquoise.
Do you need a
so
palette?
I'm actually, yeah, I should have brought a palette. I wasn't thinking about the
Can we
droppers.
run out there and grab one? There's one.
I mean,
over
I
by
could
the-
put this somewhere, but
Well, no, I mean, if you don't, I don't. Do you think it'll come? Fall? Oh, you're already doing it. He's good. He's
I'm
good.
doing it. Yeah, I'm already doing it.
He's gone. Ben's doing it.
The professional that I am, I didn't actually cap this the last time I used it,
So-
so it's kind of clogged. Oh my goodness! See, I do not want to have like one of those blooper reel moments where I
We don't
squeeze
want
really
that either.
hard and just like ink
whole cap
explodes
goes off.
everywhere.
Yeah. Considering what we paid for the table, we'd prefer that to not happen as
Yeah,
well.
I'm honestly surprised. I mean, I guess once it's in here, it's hard to move out. But you guys probably shouldn't be letting me paint on this.
No, we take the mat off the top for you.
All right.
In the interest that you probably won't explode paint everywhere. This is a nightmare.
Yeah.
Maybe we don't use that. Maybe we use a different wash.
All right, Hunter. You know what?
I'm just saying.
You are right. You
I
are
think
right.
maybe
This is one of those times when Hunter is definitely right.
I was just like,
Sometimes he's right, sometimes he's wrong, and I think this time he's right.
I,
It's just not
I'll
worth it.
take the hits, but
Well, I
that one
mean,
was looking real it's real
it
sketchy.
it
for a
was looking
second.
real sketchy, but more importantly, it's not a good stream to just watch me try to mess with a stupid dropper bottle for.
So it is
For
a good stream
15
when it
minutes.
explodes.
It's a
However,
good stream.
not good for us.
It's a good
Yeah.
stream for everyone else. It's not for us.
All right, so I am going with I said before even though I don't get too many of their paints, I do really like Citadel Games Workshop's washes.
Their colored washes, especially, are really nice.
Yeah. I also like P3 washes, but weirdly they do two very different things. The GW washes are much more of like a shader, and the P3 washes just kind of like add just an they like intensify the color. So since they serve two different purposes and they're both useful, I actually keep both varieties around.
But one of them you don't put lids on.
I mean I should. I forgot. That was a mistake.
I'm sure.
Which I already paid for. Thank you very much.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm joking.
All right. So got a nice green wash on this guy now. And he or she will be returned to the turntable.
Push it in just a little bit.
Oh.
There you go. Oh, yeah.
And here's another Carolberg Crimson, also by Citadel.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to use that for our Red Rum Scorpion.
I'm a big fan of that one. I like the Drakari Nightshade, I think it's called.
I may have that one.
It's like a dark blue. Seraphim Sepia. They do a lot of good ones.
They do. And they've
No.
changed the formula a little bit. These are actually a little bit older. They changed the formula up a little while ago, and it's much glossier now when it dries.
Interesting.
Which doesn't bother me that much because I use a matte spray on everything, so that will
Same.
usually subdue the extra glossiness. But it was weird because I like popped open a new bottle of it while I was in the middle of painting something. So like on my left, I had the one that I did 5 minutes ago that like dried fairly matte, and then the new one I just did is like just shining,
Strange.
like reflecting light in my eyes.
I didn't actually notice that, but that's good to know.
All right, and now we can put our red guy up there.
There it comes.
Just get him right in the middle.
Oh, yeah.
And then for our purple boy, well, I have a purple wash. Here it is, your Druchii
That's the
Violet.
one,
That's the
Druchii.
one.
Yeah. Well,
for
no,
you,
it's not that one. That's not the one I'm using right now, but that is also a good one. There's a blue one as well. I can't remember what it was.
I have this Coelia green shade, which also would have gone really well.
Oh, that's interesting. I've never
on
even used that one.
That's the one I use on my Gene Stealer Cult.
Which one is it called?
Coelia green shade.
Never even heard of it, actually.
Drakenhof Nightshade.
That's
is
the
sheer
one.
Blue?
That's the blue.
All right.
That's not the one I was
let's
recommending.
use
I
the
wasn't
blue.
recommending that. I think the one that you chose is actually
You can
better.
recommend it. It's fine.
No. I just use it on I use it on blue stuff, but I think the.
Well, so this is purple, so let's use a blue on it and see what.
Oh,
happens.
okay, sure. Sorry, I was not trying to influence your decision. I just said that was one I'd
That's
like.
cool, man.
I haven't actually gotten to use Druchii
Hunter.
Violet.
You could never influence my decision.
Wow. I love it. I've honestly never seen that green shade one. That's interesting. I've used a Bealtan green, but I've never
The
used
green shade is it's like an aqua.
Interesting.
So it's
I'll have to check that out.
yeah, that's what I use for my Gene Stealer Cult chitin. So they have chitinous blue. Chitin.
Yes. And your GSC looks great.
Thank you. I need to get back to painting them. I just abruptly stopped in the middle.
I literally,
There's so much more work that needs to be done on them.
I mentioned it last night, but like, last night was my first personal hobby stream for like painting in like pretty much a month. And my last painting hobby stream that I did was literally the day that I figured out that I had COVID. Halfway through the stream, I was coughing so bad and I lost my voice. And I was like, I think I'm sick. I should probably stop. So I stopped halfway through. And then the next day I was running like 103-degree fever and I had
Yikes.
COVID.
That's high.
So yeah, it was really bad. And then But I'd been so tired I hadn't been
It's
gotten
almost
back to
like
painting.
get it an ice bath high.
It was rough. But then this week, yesterday, I just finished the 5 guys that I had stopped halfway through. That was like finally I'm back to painting. So I'm actually really happy to be hobbying again.
The scorpions are really good. I like those.
I really love those.
The darkened tips on the tails.
Yeah, that's that what was the color they used for that? That dark metallic one?
Molt.
Molt. Yeah, that's a great color.
And I don't know, it might be more than molt, because sometimes like it might be like something else, alliterative molt, because a lot of times they just put like half the name on there, so I'm not sure. I can't be 100% sure it's just called molt.
I can look that one up actually. I'm curious. Because I think you might be right. I think it is just molt, but
So back to the orc, I've got a P3 metallic now. This is just cold steel, so I'm gonna dry brush that kind of quickly onto the weapon and any armor that looks like it should be steel, which is her. She has an arm guard. I'm gonna do it on the counterbalance on the spear, and she has a breastplate, and also she has some armor on her back. Oops, I just totally painted over that leather strap, but I can always paint over it again.
that might be it. Yeah, that looks like it. It's like a purplish goldish looking, like really dark.
See, she has a
Molten mantle.
buckle.
That's a good one. Apparently, not to keep saying Turbo Dork's awesome, but they do have a limited edition color back on their site right now. Apparently, it's their LVO 2020 color. They found some stock of that called Hyperculture. It's like
Hyperculture.
it's like a blue to light pink, blue to purple. Looks pretty good.
All right, so once that metal dries, I'm gonna go over it with a wash. I might use some Citadel. Did I bring my Agrax? I may have left my Agrax at home, so I can just use some Nuln Oil. If you want a dingy metal, it's still called Agrax, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes I divert, because Devlin Mud was the old name, and sometimes my brain reverts back to that, and it's done it so many times I can't remember which is the correct name anymore. Anyway, if you like a dirty looking metal, something like Agrax Earthshade is great to shade your silvers with. And if you want something cleaner, just a pure black like Nuln Oil or P3's Armor Wash is great. And then this is another thing that you can toy with further. So like if you really want like a cool like holy warrior kind of character, like a paladin type, you can mix a little bit of blue into that wash and just put it over a silver, and it'll add a little bit of that blue tone. It's kind of add a little bit of character to it, and of course that applies to anything else. You can just use a red ink over a silver if you want to get like a cool red armor. It won't be quite as intense as the Turbo Dork stuff. That's why it exists, but it is one way to get an effect kind of like that. And you know, anything in between. But still waiting for it to dry, so I'm kind of working on her belt, which I have decided is made out of the same material as the quiver.
I should probably mention that these bases that Ben is using are not our bases. Like that doesn't come with it. These are just bases that you use to paint on, right?
Yeah, this is
Little-
this weird thing that I've done. This is what I've come to after a lot of years of painting, is I start with it doesn't matter, any brand of miniature base that I'm not going to use. I glue a push pin to it, and then I will drill a tiny little hole with my pin vise drill onto the foot or bottom of the model, and then I'll just glue it on there. Not too much glue because you want to be able to come off, but what that means is I can get my hands under it and not worry about, if you just glue it straight to the base, what I find happens a lot is you end up touching the feet, and you can smear paint off, and also this gives me some extra air so that I can get under, because like if this was right here, you know, my angle at which I could reach under this tabard is a lot more limited, but because I have this extra air, I can pretty much get freely all under the bottom of the model, and that helps a lot.
Yeah, I'm thinking about stealing it finally. I've been avoiding it because it's so much extra work.
It is extra work, but it's
getting mostly to get underneath it is the thing, because I've had so many tabards that I can't get under there.
yeah. And once you get used to it, like it just sort of becomes part of assembling the model. So as I'm like gluing on arms and legs, I'm also just going to be gluing it to the base.
What have I become?
A good hobbyist, maybe.
Oh,
Somebody
got
who
me.
somebody who cares enough about what they're doing to invest just a little bit of extra time to make it right.
Actually, that's a really good point. Now I'm almost definitely not going to do that
Yeah.
because I know that's not true about myself.
That's the last thing you'd want to do is some adulting there.
Yeah, so someone asked me on my stream, are you going to drill the barrels of your guns? And I was like, now I'm going to add more to the barrels of my guns.
Yeah, actually, that's funny because that's like where I'm like a big child as well. I'm like, nope. But I will put a little dot of black in it.
Nope, not going to do that
but,
either.
It's like, nope, it's not part of the model.
I'm going to paint, I'm going to start, every time someone asks me, I'm going to start painting the tips orange to look like Nerf guns.
And the funny thing is, like with like the crazy like sci-fi weaponry that doesn't actually exist.
Yeah.
Like I think particularly like the melt-a-gun, it's like who's to say that it actually has a barrel? It's just a heat generating device. We don't know that that energy is channeled down a barrel. It might come directly from this round apparatus at the tip of the gun.
Well, mine's a
Why does it
bolter,
need a barrel?
so I know that they have cartridges and they shoot bullets.
Bolters,
but,
yeah, bolters would have a barrel hole, but like a grab gun, a plasma gun, a melt-a-gun that are just generating some kind of energy, like we don't know the science of that, so it doesn't necessarily have to have a barrel, right? That makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Tell you what, if you're not good at drilling the barrels, then don't bother.
Yeah,
I'm not good at anything.
that's another
Brandon.
thing nobody should make you do.
Yeah, I just don't like. I don't mind if someone asks me, "Are you?" Because that person just asked me, "Are you going to?" And I can just easily say no. I hate it when people are like, "You should." I'm like, really?
Like how you should give your Grey Knights actual power
If
weapons.
you don't rifle the barrels, you don't have sufficient commitment to the hobby. Exactly. That's what some people think.
Orange tips, I approve.
Orange tips. That's. I'm gonna.
Field an entire army of guys with like the orange safety tips on their gun.
I thought about. I was telling people for a while if they'd asked me to drill the barrels, I was like, I'm just gonna add more stuff to the edge of the. I'm just gonna green stuff piles of stuff to the end of my barrel and not drill. Like just make it bigger and not drilled. Fortunately, scorpions don't have to drill their barrels.
They don't.
They're just there.
Yep.
So you
their claw barrels.
Yeah, I mean,
You don't drill their
CG's
stingers
CG is a big
so that you
enough
can shoot venom?
crazy fantasy world that it may have scorpions that know how to use
venom.
weapons like rifles and guns and stuff.
Are the scorpions magic users?
No. I mean, as far as rules, we only have rules for the ones that walk around
Man,
and pinch and poke.
Maybe they just are.
Yeah.
I prefer magic using scorpions personally, but okay.
Do they have to
It's
go
hard to waggle
school,
the
or
fingers right when you only have claws.
do they have to write their own scrolls?
I don't know. You could probably crib rules like that in TFT.
I
Start
want-
with like a crab man and then bump its IQ.
I want
And then
a
give it a poison
scorpion with a
attack?
little pointy wizard hat holding a wand.
Bow STPs have been going on for a while.
The TFT minis or the
Or the
hobby
stream.
streams. Either way, so to answer both of those,
Yeah,
hobby
I
streams
know
we've
the
been
answer
doing for
both.
quite a while. We try to do about one a month. We haven't. The past couple months have been kind of off and on due to FNORDCon stuff, but we're trying to get back to about one a month. We've been doing them for a while now. With this, if you check out our YouTube page, you can see some of our older hobby streams with Ben, where he's painted Car Wars cars. He's done previous the Fantasy Strip minis. We've done lots of different stuff. And then as far as TFT minis, these are fairly new. We did a Kickstarter for the TFT Foes earlier this year. Was that this? Yeah, that was earlier this year. And it is now available on Warehouse 23, I believe Drive Through RPG. My Mini Factory has them as well. You can get the STLs for them. They're 3D printable minis.
And that is the intent. They're really for people who have 3D printers.
Yeah, or
But-
you can get them 3D printed
But yeah,
via services.
yeah,
Just
yep.
they're meant to be kind of affordable fantasy minis. I mean, they're specifically tailored towards the fantasy trip, but theoretically you can use them for anything you want.
Doug meant our streams in general.
Oh, we've been doing. Oh yeah, our streams have been going on for quite a while actually. Welcome,
welcome.
welcome to the streams.
I'll try to make it exciting, but no promises. All right, what else does she need? She needs so much. She needs to dry a little bit so I can do the wash on her armor.
Yep.
But let's highlight the green a little bit. Let's pull out that worm green, assuming I can find it, that I was talking about a little while ago. So here's the Necrotite. This is more like the moot green
Yeah, that is
that we were
pretty bright.
talking about.
Going back
But
to
it's maybe even a
mentioning
little
this,
bit more neon.
it's your first stream. We stream every Thursday at 2, generally.
But it's not
So
always hobby.
not always hobby streams, but we do games and stuff. Like last week we played Munchkin, and then next week we might. I'm going to talk to you guys about maybe see if we can set up Ogre video game because I'd like to do something with that. So we'll see.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, since it just launched on a bunch of different platforms, we probably play the Steam version
And
since
some
that's
modeling
multiplayer.
plate.
But
So here's the worm green. So it's also very light,
that is
but it's a little bit.
that's more of a murky green.
Yeah, it's a little more
Swampy.
natural.
Yeah.
More like a real like plant or
Yeah, like a
something
plant.
versus
Whew.
this like radioactive.
Yeah, that's
bright,
like a
crazy green.
nuclear green over there.
Let's put those both up on my brain and get a top-down shot on them to getting close.
on the
On the
paint.
paint.
Yeah.
Oh,
Get in real
like
close
here.
up front.
Is that where they need to be?
Scoot to the left a little bit. There we go.
All right.
Oh yeah, you
Yeah,
can
so
tell that
ne-
one's like
Necrotite
the one on the
versus
right's like kind of
worm.
an avocado green almost.
Yeah, it's a little bit brighter, but I use it for goblins. It's a good goblin color.
Avocado goblins.
But the Necrotite green is something I was just using last night for some like creepy green magical flames. All right, so doing some highlights on the green tabard. Let's get a little dab.
What do you do in your off
Of that
time? I paint
thornwood.
creepy green magical flames.
Heck yeah, man.
I did a few of those back when I had back in the day when I did escape room.
That's true.
The warp stone stuff.
Same here. I actually, when I went home for Christmas, back to my dad's house, I found a bunch of my old models, and I found these. I took these old rocks from the driveway, I cleaned them up, and I painted them to look like warp stone, and it was just like all this like it was. I mean, it was pretty bad, but it was just like it wasn't actually badly painted. It was just like dumb because it's like it obviously looks like driveway rocks. But it's like I just had a bunch of I just had a box
Transform
of
them into
essentially
something
gravel.
magical.
Yeah, it was fun. That was back when GW did inks, when they sold actual inks. So I had they were like
Into,
goblin
the
green.
shades.
Yeah, it was before they did shades and washes, and it was just like a bright green with like green ink on it. It looked good, but it's just a driveway rock. It's like ooh, warpstone.
So I started her hair with some purple, but I'm gonna actually. I don't know. I want to try to dry brush on some red. I don't know.
Don't
Something
discount
is wrong
using
with the
just, like,
consistency with this. So I'm gonna see if I should have another red of some variety. Wait, this is
don't discount just using like rocks and stuff.
Yes.
Like when I did a cosplay back in the day of
Oh, that's
Base
much
from
better.
Spirited Away,
Uh huh.
I just took a package of aquarium gravel and
Yes.
took metallic gold spray paint to it to make the gold nuggets that he offers.
That's
people and
awesome.
stuff.
Yeah.
And it
Looks
you know,
great.
It looks like one of those gold chunks. and stuff.
No, absolutely. For terrain and stuff like that, especially in war games and just costuming and stuff like that, use your terrain. Like use rock, gravel, use rocks, use bark. Tree bark is great. If you want to do trees at model scale, tree roots are actually really good for that.
yeah. Roots are what you use to do little tree branches instead.
Yeah,
of
because it
actual
looks
tree
it looks like small scale trees
Yeah.
generally. It looks really good. There's a lot of great stuff. I would just say that as a I guess I would have been like 12-year-old child. The gravel from I picked maybe not the right piece of gravel. Like one of them looked pretty good. It was kind of jagged looking, but like some of it was like those smooth little rocks. It's like that looks a little
Just
less
went with a
good.
handful.
It was just I went with what I got. I was like obviously I picked out what I thought was the best. Maybe it wasn't all the best.
Well, I don't know how I feel about this red hair. It's starting to look a little clownish. Maybe she'll be okay.
But remember,
She's a proud lady orc. She's gonna do what she's gonna do, and you probably shouldn't make fun of her if she wants to have
You're the one
crazy
who-
red clown hair.
Most of
No,
these
I'm-
use kitty litter for stones.
kitty litter's good. Yeah, kitty litter's good. I've seen people that use litter
Kitty
for
litter
bases.
can be a good gravelly base. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I have used it as recently as last year
And absorbent.
and absorbed it. I think once I give this hair a wash, though, it'll chill a little bit, and it won't be quite as intensely clownish.
You're the one who keeps bringing up the clown thing, man.
Sorry, I calls them like I sees them. I have this freaking towel paint rag thing that I brought from home, and I haven't even been using it. It's so important to just have there to dry your brush with.
Well, you should always have a towel.
Yeah.
I thought that's what your hand was for.
Yesterday was towel day.
The hand is
Oh, that's
not
true.
the hand does not dry the brush. The hand is what I use as a palette. So I mix.
He sounds like a
Um,
painting monk when he says stuff like that.
But
The
after
hand does not dry the brush. The hand is what you do.
hey man, put it on a t-shirt. You can have that one.
That's a free one. We get a
Yep,
freebie.
Yep. All right, we've got this Carolberg Crimson washout that we used on the little Scorpios. So we're gonna try some of that on her hair
See, I'm just gonna
to make it a more
Hey
subdued
man,
red.
put that on a t-shirt.
Hey man, you get that for free. Oh boy.
Yeah, that might do it. Let's get a little bit more into her face. It's a bit dark in the studio, but I think I can see well enough to get our eyes taken care of. Let's try that now. So, I don't like the sound of that. I think that white has dried out.
I don't like
Let's
the
use
sound
this
of that.
sickly skin.
That's a good one.
It's basically sickly skin is a super, super pale greenish blue.
It's like a fetid flesh kind of thing.
Yeah. Imagine like a corpse washed up on the beach and you kind of have your sickly skin. Maybe it's a little bit lighter. Try to get an eye. I could also use a slightly smaller brush, but this one comes to a really good point. I've been really pleased with the kind of detail I can get with it, even though it's a fairly big tip. Let's get some tusks. Right. Her ears could use a little bit more definition. They're kind of getting lost in her hair. So I'm going to go in there. Take care of that. Just give it a little highlight along the top. And I think, this is kind of back to what we were talking about earlier, just about 3D minis in general. Or 3D printed minis, I should say. They're just things that you can do with 3D printing that you can't even do with really complicated plastic kits because you can just have things stick out more in ways that if it was especially a plastic mini, but even a resin or a metal mini, you can have details stick out in a way that if it was a traditionally cast mini would maybe get torn or damage the molds during casting. So that's just kind of another cool thing about it, in addition to how much easier it makes everything.
There's discussion on YouTube. 3D printers have gotten a lot better in recent years.
For sure.
Especially
Yeah.
if you're doing like PLU versus resin and stuff, but all of them have gotten.
Yeah.
Even like the last 2 or 3 years.
It'll-
jumped forward a lot.
It'll be a technology that keeps getting better and better. I think it's still right now. It's still definitely a niche within the niche hobby type thing, but it's eventually it'll get to where rather than being its own like separate hobby, it'll just be like a microwave. It'll be easy enough to use where it'll be a thing you just have. Right now, it's still getting there, but it's still pretty fun. I have a resin 3D printer. Obviously, we have a bunch here. That's when I went out to see Eric. That's what he was working on was hexscape terrain, which that'll be something. Actually, Steve will be on the stream in June. I believe I'll shoot the end of June.
Well, that was some stuff they were selling that at
Yes,
ForgeCon,
yes.
some of it.
But we'll be doing more hexscape stuff coming up, so he'll be painting up some of that hexscape terrain, answering questions. So if you have questions for Steve, keep that in mind. We'll be posting on social media collecting that kind of stuff. So keep an eye out for that. Steve will be here in the studio painting himself because he paints too. Actually, I think our Alliance orders just came in, and I saw his box of stuff, and it was mostly primer and paint holders.
Oh, they can
So
get primer through Alliance?
he got Army Painter primer. Yeah, I didn't even
Oh.
think about that.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. I wonder if my Kragnos came in.
That's a good question.
If you were at NordCon, you actually got to see Hexscape in person, probably.
Yeah, you guys did. I didn't paint any of that, but and whoever did made it look awesome. They just instead of if you were there, you know this, but instead of just like gray stone or brown stone, it was like bright pink,
We
crazy
painted that.
purple. Yeah, it was such an awesome
Yeah,
idea to go with that
Brandon,
instead of
Jake.
just the.
Were you here, Jimmy? No. Phil wanted to do it to look like
You look kind of like
Skeletor's castle.
Yeah, it looked like something like from a 90s blacklight display room.
Yes. Oh, that was when you actually had COVID. Yeah, that was he wanted to do like what's that castle called?
Did it again.
It's not
Grayskull?
Grayskull. No, it's
The other
Skeletor's castle.
Snake Mountain.
Snake Mountain. That's it. Yeah.
I had that as a kid.
Dude, Snake Mountain rules.
I had Grayskull and Snake Mountain.
I had a
Wow.
weird off-brand Snake Mountain type thing.
I had
but-
Serpent's Peak,
Yeah.
It had that weird one of those weird
the microphone thing.
microphone voice
Yeah.
changers thing with the spring on it and stuff.
Yeah, you could talk through it. It's like
Neck hill.
here, Snake Hill, Cobra Cave. It's my favorite.
That was good.
That was a deal.
That does sound. Yeah,
That was like a
that
real
does
thing.
sound GI
It
Joe.
wasn't off-brand.
I don't think it was, but it
Duh.
should have been. The Cobra Cave. Well, the first GI Joe playset was cardboard. It was like a Cobra headquarters thing. It's real hard to find out. It was a Sears exclusive.
Was that like 60s era GI Joe?
No. That was like the first 4-inch or 3.75-inch Joes. Sears exclusive Cobra base or whatever, and it had like it was one of those things where it's like a diorama made out of cardboard. So it's real hard to find now because it was made out of cardboard in the 80s.
Yeah.
Have fun with that.
All right, I am giving her a little Nuln Oil wash, not just in the metal, but also because I think we're getting a little close to wrapping up here. I'm going to try to add a little more definition to a few other places. So we're going to go ahead and throw some of that over her belt to get in there in the crevices. And I'm also going to try to use it on her sandals to add a little more definition on the straps there. And then, just to mix it up a little bit, I'm going to take some of I use that on her skin. I don't want to use more bootstrap leather. On actual leather, that's what I use on her skin. What can I use? Let's use like this yellow. So we've got kind of a golden yellow. I'm going to dry brush some of that on the leather.
Is that
Get like a
Averland
weird-
Sunset?
Yeah, oh yeah. You know it. Averland Sunset is like one of my most favorite colors. If you guys ever need to paint yellow, if you have trouble painting yellow, get yourself some Citadel Averland Sunset base. It goes on fast, makes it a great base for yellow because yellow is usually so translucent. But it also just works well. I use it as a non-metallic gold color too, and it is extremely good for that as well. So not just a base, even though that's what it says. Well, it doesn't say it's just a base. It says it's a base, but you get what I mean.
Brave man leaving all those paint pots open. Nah, Ben's used to this.
Ben's like a cat walking around, just dodging it.
I do knock him over.
He's
sometimes.
nimble. No, he doesn't. He's being modest. He's never knocked over a pot of paint in his
Never.
life.
Him.
Never.
Hey Ben, try opening that wash.
Now's the time.
Now's the time. I've jinxed it enough.
All right, I think. Oh, let's do a little more. Maybe we can get some of these straps on the spear a little bit more defined. But she's pretty close to being done.
Nice.
Might be getting better results with this dry brushing if I was using a more dedicated dry brushing brush.
Mm. Yeah, that can
Mm.
help.
But my pointed detail one is not quite getting the job done as well as I'd like.
I actually just got a couple new brushes in the mail yesterday. Part of that Imperium magazine thing.
Oh yeah.
One of the bonus things you get is some brushes, so not bad. They're little Citadel brushes. I use Citadel brushes occasionally.
So a good dry brush. Some of the ones that work pretty well have a flat edge.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's put her up there.
Yeah,
She
let's
can
throw it up.
handle these scorpions.
And we'll get some shots of it on our Instagram. So if you want to check that out, that'll be at our
I should
Instagram
have brought
page.
our bases. Can you zoom out a little bit, maybe? No. Yeah. So that.
There we go.
Yeah.
That looks great.
All right.
Guiding the
Yep.
iridescent
sting.
scorpions.
This is what we all really want in life: is to be able to direct 3 incredibly large scorpions to pinch and envenomate our foes.
Envenomate.
Yep.
Especially color shifted scorpions.
Yeah.
Like they're so sparkling and dazzling that your opponent has no chance to stop them. They're just blinded. It's like a dazzle spell with no strength cost to cast.
Ben knows the rules. I just think they're pretty. Awesome. Well, those look great. Well, and like I said, we'll throw some images up on social media if you want to check those out. We'll have close-up shots of that.
And if you want to grab some of your own scorpions, we got the STL files
Yep.
for sale.
The
or
links
you
will be in the
can
comments.
Make them at Mini Maker. What were you? Mini.
They're on Warehouse 23. They're on My Mini Factory.
My
they're
Mini
on
Factory.
Drive Through RPG. They're at a few different spots, but yeah, you can get the files.
And I mean, you
and
can,
sources.
if you want, the cool thing about these is they scale. So in addition to being able to make like a super cool like giant scorpion, if you just blow up the file, which I assume this is something I know. I don't know how difficult this is to do because I'm not like a 3D printer guy, but I know
It's
we
possible.
made
You
like
could
a
definitely
giant
do it.
long
It's not
Lankin.
hard at all.
Yeah. Or if you were really, really crazy, you could like scale down and like print like 20 of them all on like a little flat base, and you have a swarm of like regular sized scorpions, which would be like awesome in a different way. But yeah, does anybody else have any more questions before
think
we
that might be
close
it
it
for
up and I start
comments.
closing all these paints?
Jimmy, you got anything in there? Anything pressing? Just comments?
Like how it looks.
Awesome.
I feel like they should be like in a black, the scorpion should be in a black party.
Awesome. Well, we
do
appreciate
like to party.
appreciate everybody watching.
I
We will
hope-
be back with more hobby
I
stuff
hope you guys had fun or maybe even learned something.
next month. It'll be a little bit late. It'll be later towards the end of the month, kind of like we did this time. That'll be with Steve. We're going to be doing Hexscape and I believe Squarescape as well, with a little bit of a Q&A. And we may even have Ben back again for another one before that. You never know.
Yep.
We're crazy like that. We may just do more hobby because it's fun and we always have stuff. But we'll definitely have Ben back for some more stuff.
And the content kind of generates itself. Like I just grab a mini and I just sit here and paint and talk about it.
Yeah, it's great.
Talk about TFT.
Get a little expertise about it. So thank you guys for dropping by. I think we'll see you next week.
Yep. Thanks for joining us. Have an awesome day and
Have a great holiday weekend.
Yeah, have an awesome holiday weekend. Make the best out of that Monday. And see you later.